Welcome back to the show. This is the Pen Decker at Kong Tech Fu, once again bringing you another video on long-term plays in the crypto space. And just before we get started, we got a little hit me up here from Stunner Breezy himself, where he says, "Stop complaining about whales, become one." All right, but of course we want to be benevolent whales. All right, so today's show is about the Hex phenomenon. Okay, now if we go here to hex.com, this is the only place you should look to stake your native hex. And notice I said native, and I said that for a reason. But before we even get into this hex phenomenon, we're going to take a look at security as always. And you should always have yourself a Keystone Pro. A lot of people like to go with Ledger or Treasure. Those are very heavily marketed and very heavily supported. But mind you, this is the only 100% air-gapped wallet. No wires, no Wi-Fi, no Bluetooth. There is still a slight chink in your armor when you use the Ledger or the Treasure, especially as we move closer towards things like quantum computing. All right, so this thing is so paranoid that you even have to charge the battery separately from the device. Okay, it actually comes off magnetically, and you have to charge this separately. That's how paranoid they are, and with good reason, because they got those rubber duck cables now that can just completely take over your phone. So be careful about using cables abroad and USB cables abroad. Always bring your own. Be a self-contained unit, especially when it comes to technology, because there's always a hacker or a scammer lurking in the dark. Okay, you have to watch them watching you. Okay, Hex, the ultimate long-term wealth play. Hex is a long-term play. People usually stake for about 15 years. But as I told the young man at the golf course that was worried about spending 8 years to become a doctor, I said, do you want to spend 8 years not becoming a doctor, or do you want to spend 8 years becoming a doctor? Either way, you're going to spend that 8 years. So it's the same principle here. Do you want to spend the next 15 years becoming wealthy? Or do you want to spend 15 years and at the end of 15 years not be wealthy? So if you're blessed to be here in 15 years, I would rather know that I'm going to be wealthy with a store of value in something as phenomenal as Hex, that is tried and true and proven and has printed many millionaires. And you too can be one of the millionaires that are printed by doing the long stroll here. Okay, now we've got don't be a blind cultist. I wrote this down here. You have a lot of people who are actually coming down on people who are innovating and bringing more utility to the Pulse chain. I know, it's crazy. It's almost like somebody building a highway and I don't want any cars on this highway. You should be ashamed of yourself. Or like somebody building a mall and like, no, you can't build any more stores in this mall. You know, there's only room for one store in this mall. It's like, dude, it's a mall. You're like, diversity is a good thing. Richard Hart produced the Pulse chain. He produced Hex and now the Pulse chain for people to innovate on. Okay, he did not build it as a one size fits all, end all, be all solution. He opened it as an open highway for everyone who wants to spread their wings. Okay, so therefore you have protocols coming into play. I even had to reprimand someone because, and I usually don't do that, I usually just keep my own backyard clean and keep it moving, but this guy was so out of line, I just had to give him a reality check where he said, oh, what would Richard Hart think if he knew you were doing ICOSA and this and that? And the guy, Cryptographics, by the way, I call him out by name, and he's like, dude, we have our own minds. You know, all of these protocols, no matter what they are, they're just tools in your toolbox. That's like going to a car mechanic and say, how dare you use a Phillips head screwdriver? You should be using a straight head. You know, it's like, what are you talking about? I'm going to use whatever tool gets the job done based upon my needs, okay? So all of this shaming other utilities, other tools, can you just imagine yourself going to Home Depot and shouting at the buzzsaw that it's somehow blaspheming the Holy Spirit of carpentry? Like, dude, you're nuts, okay? Use the tools as they are put there to provide us with more diversity, more proficiency, so therefore we can get the job done. Now, enough of that. Hex, long-term staking. Now, it used to be static in the sense that once it was locked, it was locked. You couldn't touch it. That was it. So the short-term solution was for people to build what we call staking ladders. So you can get your wealth along the way. So you stake it for 6 months or a year. And of course, the longer you stake, the higher your percentage of shares that you have coming to you. So of course you want to do at least a year when doing a staking ladder. So so you get your wealth along the way. And in 15 years, you should have somewhere close to where you would have been if you had just waited. But it would probably be a lot more if you just staked, because the compound interest would be much higher. And that's what this is all about, compound interest, the eighth wonder of the world, like Einstein said. Einstein said, compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. He who understands it earns it. He who does not pays it, okay? Which leads us into the difference between the wealthy and the poor. You see, the poor work for their money. The rich, their money works for them, okay? So, now we have something that's very great going on here. And, before we get into that, I'm about to reach 100,000 plants in my drip garden. Hail to the king, one of the kings of the DeFi space. The most important kings of the DeFi space, in my humble opinion, is Forex Shark and Richard Hart, okay? I mean, if you got Forex Shark on one side and Richard Hart on the other, even if you're an idiot, you can't go wrong, because it's all laid out for you. The template is set. There's no need for you to reinvent the wheel. You start here, you go around the track, and then you rinse and repeat. So easy a caveman can do it, okay? So as you can see here, we are at 98,444 plants, okay? And down here we have 1,458 just waiting to join the party, okay? But that's not why we're here, okay? Let's go to why are we here. We are here because we are talking about the dynamicism of Hex /PULSECHAIN /Hedron /ICOSA /MAXIMUS. That's right. And there are other coins too that add to this dynamicism, like Lucky, and there's a bunch of, there's other stuff mixed up in it, but we're not going to go into that because we've got our plate full already. Here we go. And we're going to go here, and we're going to go to ICOSA Pro, all right? And this, of course, is on Ethereum. And when we go here, there's a lot of stuff happening here, guys. If you looked at my other video, I touched upon it briefly on how it was a 4-hour video. I watched it twice, which is why I got no sleep several nights before. I was finally able to wrap my head around this thing. And basically, to make a long story less long, you have your native stake, which I just talked about, which was 15 years. That's static. You can't touch it. Okay, 55 club, they call it, because that's 15 years. But you see, this ICOSA team or platform has added a new dynamic to the equation, because now what we can do is we can take our Hex stake, we can encapsulate it, okay, and at that point it will function exactly as a native stake with the added benefit of minting Hedron, a token, okay? But you also have the option of tokenizing it and or turning it to an NFT, which you can sell on the open market, or simply keep as a store of value to be sold later, or you can sell it directly to the ICOSA platform, that will pay you instantly in ICOSA. You then take that ICOSA and you can take it into this portion of the platform, you see. And when you go here, you can sell, you can stake your ICOSA for a yield, okay? And based upon how much ICOSA you do will determine how many days. See, like here I have 89 days. I did a stake and I've got 89 days left over. And at the end, when that stake matures, you can take your profit off the top, you can cash it in, you can throw it back in, you can do 30 days, 90 days, 180 days, 260 days, 1 year, and so on and so forth. And based upon that will determine whether you're a squid or a whale, depending on how much you put in. So now you see, being that you sold that stake, you are no longer waiting 15 years. You're getting a compensation of ICOSA and Hedron up front, because when you stake the ICOSA, you're also getting Hedron. Now I know it's very difficult to follow this stuff, I know. However, if you go to the description down below, if you watch some videos, if you do some research, don't be afraid of knowledge, don't be afraid of experimenting. And the thing is that anybody can do this if you simply take the time to figure this stuff out. So basically what I'm trying to say is that it gives you an option to go from a static staking point of view to a dynamic point of staking. All right, now if we go back here, let's just go into, let's check out another one that I mentioned, which is called Maximus. Okay, there's the PULSECHAIN, of course. And we're going to go back here and we're going to go to Maximus Cash here. All right, and of course, yeah, you guessed it, they actually have Maximus from the movie Russell Crowe on there. Okay, now Maximus is actually a coin. Okay, I don't know if they have a picture of the coin here. Maybe I can get a picture of the coin. Yes, there's a picture of the coin. All right, that's how it's going to look in your wallet, or maybe not if you got MetaMask doesn't always give us the icon in there, as some of you guys know, to just get that little jazzy con or whatever. But anyway, if you're in something like BitKeep or whatever, then you'll use this, you know, you'll get that. But anyway, this is Maximus, and it took me a while to wrap my head around this, but it's maximum yield, instant liquidity. So to make it very simple for you guys, here's what's happening. Back in April, these guys, this team, they created one massive Hex 15-year stake. What they're allowing you to do is they're allowing you to put this token in your wallet, okay? And when you put this token in your wallet, all right, you buy the token with Hex. Okay, so once again, Hex has become your currency. Okay, this is why you need to stack your Hex so that you can stake your Hex, and so that you can also use your Hex for things like ICOSA, Hedron, and or Maximus. Now, it's not about which one's better. Oh, is Hedron better than ICOSA? Is ICOSA better than Maxima? No, you use them all. That's like asking a car mechanic, oh, which one is better? Oh, is it better to use? No, man. Sometimes I use the pliers, sometimes I use the saw, sometimes I use the hammer, sometimes I use... See, and that's the problem with most people that only have one tool. Like, they just got a hammer. And you know what the problem is when you only have a hammer? You think everything is a nail. Alright? No. They are all useful. I myself am presently, at this moment, using ICOSA I have ICOSA staked. I have Hedron staked. I took a Hex stake for 15 years. I turned it into an NFT and I sold it for ICOSA and I staked that ICOSA, and I'm going to do more stakes, okay, with Hex, because Hex is now a currency that you can use dynamically, okay, as you see here. Step number 1, you take your Hex. You got Hex in, you mint the Maxi coin. Once you mint the Maxi coin, you are now in this contract that they did way back in April, okay? It's a 15-year stake. So now you have a portion of this max length stake in this Hex contract. Now, step number 3, you, with your Maxi, can take this into decentralized exchanges and you can sell it for USDC, ETH, Hex, or whatever. Because you see, now you no longer have to wait 15 years in order to get the prize at the end of the rainbow, okay? But if you do wait to the end of the rainbow, you will be able to collect your portion of the percentage of this contract. However, when you have a native Hex stake on Hex.com, you have to wait to the end. You know, it's irrevocable. Like yeah, it's irrevocable. I'm not even gonna go there, but it's irrevocable. Okay, with Maximus, you got Maximus coins in your wallet. Each coin represents a certain percentage of that contract. So every time in step 1, every time I use my Hex to mint Maxi, that Maxi coin goes into my wallet, or coins. You see what I'm saying? So if I have a bag of Maxi coins, now I don't have to sell my entire stake to get some money if I need some money throughout the years. Okay? I could take 1 or 2 coins out my bag and I can jump to step number 3. All right? I can jump to step number 3 and I can sell some of those coins. I can trade some of those coins for USDC, ETH, Hex. I could turn it into Bitcoin and, you know, send it into one of my apps and sell it and cash it out. You know, you can do whatever. You know, you can cash in a portion of it. But the more you have at the end of this stake in 15 years, at the end of the stake, the more Maxi coins you have at the end of the stake, the more you're going to be able to redeem the backing value of Maxi, Hex, and also you're going to be acquiring Hedron as well. Okay? So there's no ICOSA in this format, but that's okay because you're taking care of that over on the ICOSA platform. You see? So if we go to our ICOSA platform here, we will see just how this works. All right? Let me go over here to Ethereum. And yeah. So you see you got your ICOSA up here, you got your Hedron, you got, now always remember that you don't necessarily need to stake Hex. See, you got your untokenized, that's when you create an HSI. Now an HSI is when you stake Hex, and when you stake it here on the ICOSA platform, it is known as a Hex Staking instance. Okay? Now, if you do a stake on Hex.com, which is a native stake, then you can't bring it over here at that point. Okay? So if you're going to stake here, you need to stake here. Don't think that you can go to Hex.com and then take that stake and then bring it over here. No. Nor can you do here to there either. However, it is much more efficient for you to produce your stakes here, because if you keep it untokenized, that Hex stake functions identically to a native Hex stake as if it was on Hex.com. However, it has the added benefit of bringing you Hedron, okay, because you could just leave it like that and you can ride the 15 years out. But meanwhile, you're minting Hedron all along the way. Or you can tokenize it, turn it into an NFT, take it to any NFT market like OpenSea, and you can sell your NFT, which is actually a 15-year stake that people will buy, because people that know about buying and lending, they know that they can buy that NFT, which is a 15-year stake, and they can borrow against the dividends of the potential money of that stake. So if that stake is going to render $200,000-$300,000, whatever, they know that they can get a loan and use that NFT as collateral. That's the whole point, okay? So you can do that. Or you can take that NFT and you can sell it to the ICOSA platform, and they will give you ICOSA for your tokenized HSI. Then you can go and you can stake. It will show you your pool ownership, your yield, your minimum days, all of that. Now, you want to still apply the staking ladder concept even here, because you want to put a small amount in at first so you can get a 90-day or a 30-day, so that later you can if you create another wallet, you can do a 180-day, which is 6 months, and then if you do another wallet, you can do 260 days, and then you do another wallet and you do 1 year. So now you've got a 30-day, you've got a 90-day, you've got a 180-day, you got a 260-day, and you have a 1 year ICOSA / Hedron staking for those time periods, which is known as a staking ladder. You're using separate wallets. This is known as a 5-wallet strategy that you can utilize if you so chose to, or you could just hang out with this one wallet and do that. It's completely up to you. But you can create as many HSIs as you want to, and to continue to sell them to the ICOSA contract to continue to get more ICOSA, okay? Now, like I said, I know this is basically I should call this video Hex Stacking and Staking, okay? Because that's what you want to do. You want to constantly stack Hex as much as possible, okay? Every week, throw in $20, $50, $100 and get yourself some Hex. And just leave it in your wallet, because that is going to be your currency, especially as it relates to... See, if you just buy Maximus with your Hex, you don't even need to do any of this if you don't want to, unless you want ICOSA in the mix. But if you want to keep it super simple, you can just mint Maxi coins with your Hex. If you want to get a little more complex for the big payoff, for the big payday, you can combine that with going here to the ICOSA platform, which will be down in the description. So I challenge you to fulfill your responsibility to yourself by becoming financially independent, okay? So just because there's a little complexity, don't run for the hills. Challenge yourself to say, well, hey, that idiot's doing it. I should definitely be able to do this, Like I said, so easy a caveman can do it. You just have to familiarize yourself with it, okay? Because anything that's worthwhile is a challenge, is difficult. It's like practicing Kung Fu, like practicing Silat, okay? When people see what I can do in the martial arts and they say, hey, I want to do that, but when they realize what's involved, most times they disappear. Very few people stay on the path, okay? So people see what I can do and they come into the dojo and they want to try and replicate that, and it says, hey man, it took me 50 years to get here. You're not going to get there in 50 minutes, okay? So just relax. All right, so with that, we're going to do some more videos on Hex and why you should be involved. There is no, oh, that's not for me. No, it is for you. You're just scared of it, okay? If you want a tried and true financial independence tool that works on the universal law of cause and effect and compound interest, then this is where you want to be. Okay, Hex, PULSECHAIN, ICOSA, HEDRON, MAXIMUS. That's where you want to be. Okay, we're going to do more videos on this. I'm not going to leave you guys alone about this, but continue on. Okay, and remember, you are your own bank and no one can stop you. All right, and with that, thanks for tuning in, and check the links down below. Click the links down below, and even if you don't know what in the world you're doing, just play around with it. Watch videos, watch cryptographics. Okay, remember that name. Watch the Hex Token channel on YouTube. You know, I recently saw that Jay-Z created a Bitcoin Academy, and nothing against Jay-Z, nothing against that noble idea of giving back to the community. However, you really don't need a Bitcoin Academy. Everything you need is already on the internet. You just have to be a go-getter, and you have to stop waiting for people to give you something. Stop waiting for people to create an academy. Go out and get it. I've been in the crypto space for about 9 or 10 months, and I am proud to say, maybe self-appointedly, but I am one of the foremost authorities on blockchain today because I study. Okay? I go to sleep to crypto, I wake up to crypto, I familiarize myself with crypto, and I realize that most times I don't know what the heck I'm doing, but I know if I just stay at it, one day I will know what I'm doing, okay? So don't be afraid to stumble around in the dark for a little while, okay? Because it is always darkest before the dawn. So stay tuned, stay humble, and become financially independent and be the rightful master of yourself.